Greetings folks, and I hope it's wash day tomorrow wherever you are in collecting land, and welcome back to the channel for another episode of Grail or Fail. For the newcomers, Grail or Fail is where we revisit an action figure widely considered to be a classic and find out if it's still worthy of that Grail status today. So today we're stepping back in time 15 years, yes, count them, God I feel old, and in the spotlight it's Hot Toys' take on Linda Hamilton, aka Sarah Connor from James Cameron's science fiction masterpiece Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So, usual format folks, we will get up close with the Mother of the Resistance, then it's verdict time, and we'll be wrapping the whole thing up with the usual showcase at the end. But before we dive in, I'd like to send the usual Skynet-sized shout out to everyone who supported the channel. And please drop a like and hype on this video as it helps other people find the channel and find Go Figure. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you're not missing any of the 1/6 scale reviews, news, previews, showcases, tours, and all that good stuff that we've got coming up. So, without further ado, let's get up close and personal with Pescadero's most famous patient and find out if she's a Grail or a Fail. So, have 15 years been kind to Sarah Connor? Well, let's find out by having an up-close look. And we will start with the proportions, because it's worth mentioning at this point that 15 years ago, Hot Toys were making figures. I'm not saying they weren't 6 scale, but they were slightly smaller. Collectors who've been collecting a long time will know what I'm talking about here. But they were ever so slightly smaller than the ones we see today. However, for its size, I think the proportions are pretty much on point. However, there is and this is probably down to its age as well, talking of proportions, although the height is about right, the build is a little bit off, and that's but probably down to the arms. The arms are a little bit too thin for my taste. Linda Hamilton did a lot of gym time prior to shooting T2, in my opinion was far more muscular than this. But, you know, Hot Toys can be let off. As we said before, this is a 15-year-old figure. So, yeah, the proportions are good, but not brilliant. I'd like to have seen a seamless body that had been custom made for this figure, or at least a seamless upper body, which we will probably get today. And it's probably worth mentioning as well at this point, with the plethora of new version 2 Terminator figures that we've seen the 800, we've seen the 1000, all of which have been reviewed on this channel, by the way, if you're wanting to check out those reviews and get up close with those. I suspect that on the horizon we are going to be seeing this figure revisited in the 2.0 version. I would imagine it'll be an artisan piece, probably rooted hair, and it'll be interesting to see how they tackle the body 15 years on. But yeah, for its time, I think it's pretty good proportionally. But let's start at the bottom and work our way up as we always do. Usual Hot Toys base here. That black plastic oval with the raised nameplate on the front, and it says Terminator 2 Judgment Day across the top there. Now, as regulars to the channel will know, I'm not the biggest fan of these bases. However, we are talking 15 years ago. They served a purpose back in the day. I tend to display my older Hot Toys figures on different diorama bases. I think it just sets them off a little bit better. But yeah, this is what they gave us back in the day, and I know there's a lot of fans out there of these bases. So yeah, it serves the purpose with that crotch grabber. But let's start at the bottom of the figure itself. First of all, we have sculpted plastic boots. Now, for 15 years old, I think they did a pretty good job here with these boots. You've got sculpted in laces there. There is a touch of weathering. There is sole on the bottom of those boots. They're screen accurate, black combat boots. And overall, yeah, weathering is nice, the detailing is nice, and they most certainly do stand up today. If it was done today, I suspect we might see a split cut boot design. But overall, yeah, for 15 years on it, it's looking pretty good. Up to the legs and the combat pants themselves. Now, this it's worth mentioning. This figure is actually it's solid plastic underneath the leg. It's not until you get sort of above the waist area that you start to get this seamless body. This early take on a seamless body, but the combat pants themselves are really nicely done. There's weathering on there. They're simple black, but the stitching is very, very good. It's screen accurate. Weathering on the her posterior there. No loose threads, even after 15 years, and the weathering has held up well, as has the stitch work, the colour's right, and overall the fit and finish very, very good. Let's talk accessories, because as we move up we start to see the belts and the harness. We've got the other accessories out here. Actually, we've got them down here. It comes with you get 6 hands in total, 3 pairs. Let's have a quick look at one at random. Now, it does show its age here. These hands, if I can get close up on these hands, they're not to today's level of sculpt and paint application, but we wouldn't expect it to be. There is a sort of attempt at fingernails there if the camera's catching that. You've got open palm hands, gripping hands for the weapons, obviously. Paint applications are relatively basic, just a couple of coats on there to give it that skin tone and coloration. Bit of rending at the knuckles. There is a hint of bone structure and vein work, but yeah, very relatively simplistic. But as I say, we've got to bear in mind here that we're looking at a 15-year-old figure. You also get the shotgun, sculpted plastic shotgun, and this has stood up very, very well. I think looks pretty good today. That gunmetal paint application, really nice. You've got the cocking action there on the handle in the centre, and it also comes complete with 4 removable shotgun shells, which you can take out. You can pose them. You can pose the figure holding them, or loading the gun if you want to do that. And the stock itself, if I can do this one-handed, actually folds back. So yeah, nice shotgun there, screen accurate, very well done. You also get a pistol, and it's what we've come to expect from Hot Toys regarding weaponry. This pistol, yeah, it's 15 years old, but it's a damn fine job. That handle's painted really well. You've got that silver paint application, that metallic silver which hasn't faded over the years. Removable magazine with painted and sculpted in bullets, as we come to expect from a Hot Toys figure. And yeah, stood the test of time well, that handgun. You also get a separate suppressor for the rifle that we'll take a look at. You get a short and a long suppressor. That's nicely done, and you also get the usual spare wrist pegs and all the other bits and pieces. But let's take a look at the rifle itself. Now, in the review for the T800, the battle damage T800, Hot Toys also included this rifle. I also think this has been pretty much remolded. The only thing that really separates this out from the one that came with the old and the new Terminator figures is that scope on the top there, obviously to replicate the sequence where she tried to take out Miles Bennett Dyson and his entire family. Oh yeah, and the addition of a suppressor, obviously, but as I say, those are interchangeable. So rifle's very, very well done. You've got weathering on the handle and the stock there, and on the magazine, and once again, in true Hot Toys fashion, you've got a removable magazine with sculpted and painted in bullets, and there's some nice detailing on there on the semi-auto and full, nicely done. Hot Toys past masters at weapons, so we would expect nothing less. Those cargo pants, as we said, really, really good. Moving up, canvas belt here with the knife in that we'll take a look at. Very nicely done again. Screen accurate. The colour is right with that sort of military green shade to it, and it's got a metal buckle at the front, which is really nice to see. I wish Hot Toys would do that more often. But yeah, metal clasp at the front there, and then you've got the nylon harness with all the pockets going on. Nicely done these, screen accurate and weathered as well. We'll zip around the back so you can see the detailing on the back here, because it is it's quite intricate and very, very nicely done for a figure of this age. Now, that all the detailing in the back of that harness section there has got metal clasps on there, and is picked out really, really well, and is weathered as well. So yeah, a cracking job on this harness here. The t-shirt underneath is a cotton, nice thin weave there to give it that 1/6 scale, and it's almost I'm not going to say it's a green, it's somewhere between a sort of olive green and a grey, erring more towards grey. Yeah, screen accurate once again, and nicely done. On to the, let's just cover all the accessories while we're here. You get a cigarette, which is just moved, which is very delicate, and I'll try and get that to straighten out. Nicely sculpted in plastic. You get a wristwatch, which goes on the right arm, or you can swap it out with on the left arm, and you get this wristband as well, which is screen accurate and a godsend. to cover up those ugly joints where the hands meet the arms. And the wristwatch does the same on the other side as well, and I think they work really well covering up. It was a happy coincidence that this was a look from the film, because it covers up those, as I say, those unsightly wrist joints. The body itself here, now I'm not going to say this is silicone, because it's 15 years old, this figure, and I'm going to go with rubber on this one. I think possibly they may have used a early TB League body here, not 100% certain. I'm not sure whether it was custom made or whether it was outsourced to somebody like TB League, but the body itself is covered with, and like I say, I'm going to say rubber on here. The detailing on the skin itself is a bit basic, and as I mentioned, they're not really bulky enough to give a really accurate representation of Linda Hamilton's upper body in the film, but the skin tones and textures are good for their time. No real vein work or muscularity in there, but there's 2 or 3 paint applications that I can pick out to give it that tonal change in texture, and obviously same around the right-hand side, left-hand side rather. Although they have a nice touch there. There is, and if the light's catching this, there is a scar on her shoulder there, which is screen accurate. Moving up to the rest of the body now, this is where my first gripe came in. But I mean, I've had this figure years and years now, but it was one thing that threw it off a little bit for me, was the length of that neck. It's just a little bit too long, and it gives her that sort of giraffe-like look. But that's only at certain angles. Square on, you can almost get away with it, but zip it round to the side a little bit, and yeah, it does start to look a little bit giraffe-esque. I think I've always sort of contemplated dremeling out that head sculpt and lowering it on that neck just a little bit, because I think it would add that extra sense of realism, but I've never quite got round to it. It's one of the 1,000,001 modding jobs that Mr. Go Figure has never quite got round to. But the head sculpt itself, well, we can't really see the head sculpt because she's got the glasses on and the hat on. We will take those off so we can have a close-up look at the likeness. But the hair itself, obviously sculpted plastic, being of its time. But I think, as I say, for 15 years old, they've done a pretty good job here. There's individual strands in that hair. The colour's pretty good, although we could have had some more tonal changes in there. But paint applications have come on in leaps and bounds in 15 years. She's got that ponytail, that straight back ponytail, which is hanging down down the back there. And overall, I think it's a pretty good rendition of the hair. The glasses themselves, well, we'll take a closer look at those when we remove the hat and the glasses themselves. But yeah, from this angle, yeah, they're sculpted plastic, and I think they look very, very good with that sort of all-weather type surround on the side of the glasses there, done in brown. And the lenses themselves have got that reflective quality, deep black, really, really nice. And the hat itself, great to see, isn't sculpted plastic, is actually real material. Stitch work's really good, the 6-scale stitch work, the colour's right, and it's got weathering as well. But I think what we should do next is take that hat off, take those glasses off, and have a close-up with that head sculpt. Okay, so hat off, hairpiece replaced, let's take a closer look at her. But before we do that, actually, let's talk articulation, because we didn't mention it in the previous section. You're going to be a bit limited with these feet. As I mentioned before, sculpted plastic. I believe they're pegged directly into the legs, no split cut boot design. So yeah, it's going to limit articulation in the feet a bit. You've got what, I don't believe it's a ratchet joint, I just believe it's a standard joint at the knees there. But you get the usual amount of movement that you would expect with the older figures and those types of joints. As I mentioned before, it doesn't really turn rubber until you get above the waistline here. There is some movement at the waist there. There is a twist and a forward and backward movement. Articulation in the arms is, I'm going to say it's not limited, but I just have never really used it. I've never pushed it for obvious reasons. Obviously, with what I believe to be rubber arms, these joints at the elbows here are going to rip and tear incredibly easily, and you'll probably notice in the showcase section at the end there that I will not be pushing the elbow joints particularly, so her pose with the arms at least won't change that much. But if you get further up the arms, you've got a ball joint there, I believe, into the shoulder section. Now, the upper body itself is all the same sort of slightly hollow rubber. You can feel that there is movement there, but it's not fully seamless. So those elbows aren't, those shoulder joints aren't seamless. So you can get a decent range of motion out of there without fear of actually damaging the figure itself, which is useful. So good range of motion with that ball joint in the shoulder there. Not so good in the elbow. Well, it is good in the elbow, but like I say, I ain't going to be pushing it. But the head sculpt, let's talk about this head sculpt now. Straight away, I think for 15 years old, I think Hot Toys did a very, very good job here. Is it up to today's standards? Obviously not, no. But I think it most certainly is Linda Hamilton, and they most certainly captured the likeness of Sarah Connor there. I think the sculpt would obviously have to be updated. I think there are certain angles here where this isn't Sarah Connor, and it does have a little bit of that doll-like quality. The paint applications on the head sculpt itself are good for the time, but they're a little bit on the matte side. There's no detailing or texturing particularly in that skin. But the eyes are the right shape and colour. You've got those blue eyes, those sort of bluey green eyes. The lips they've caught really, really well, and they've sculpted in those sort of slight furrows down the side of the nose, which are quite distinctive to Linda Hamilton. But overall, I would say for 15 years, yeah, it's stood the test of time pretty well. One minor issue is the tonal change of the skin tone from the upper body and the arms to the face there. You go into a much more matte on the face, whereas the tone on texturing on the skin on the seamless body and chest are far better. So there's a little bit of a clash there, but it's barely perceptible. That's me nitpicking. I think overall they did a very, very good job. That hairpiece, now I've swapped it out for the fringed hairpiece here, because if you're going to go without the hat, the look without the hat, I would suggest that this is the best one. The other piece, which we've got here, is a lot flatter, and it looks a bit goofy when you've got it on the figure because it's flat down to her head, but it really only serves the purpose of filling that gap when you've got the hat on. And there's a little clip on the back there, and you simply get your fingernail under that fringe section, which is a softer plastic than the rest of the hair. It comes out relatively easily, and you clip in that new piece, that new hair piece, and then you can snugly slot that hat on. I prefer the hat on and glasses look. I think it's more iconic, and I think it does help detract a little bit from some of the shortcomings of that head sculpt. Oh yeah, and the glasses. Let's have a quick look at those before we go in for a final verdict. Sculpted plastic, and I would always say, as always, I would always issue the usual Mr. Go figure warning here. Plastic sculpted glasses, incredibly fragile, be super careful with them. But I think the detailing on here, on the sides there, the metallic sections and the paint applications are very good indeed. So that's the glasses, and that is Linda Hamilton, courtesy of Hot Toys, as Sarah Connor from T2. But we need a verdict on this figure, so yeah, I think we should get her back on the turntable and go in for the big decision. So, hairpiece swapped out, hat back on, and glasses back on. Is Hot Toys' 15-year-old take on Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor a Grail or a Fail? Well, let's talk the good points first, and we've always got to remember this is a 15-year-old figure. Damn hard to judge by today's standards, but yeah, good points. The outfit, completely screen accurate, very well tailored, really nicely weathered. The accessories on point. Those accessories are as good as Hot Toys accessories are today, so they're on point as well. The downsides here are the body, the mixture of that rubber covered body, that seamless body, well, semi-seamless body, the hard plastic waist there, or below the waist being all hard plastic. Yeah, the proportions aren't to my liking. I would have preferred to see a more muscular take on Linda Hamilton. That would have increased the screen accuracy for me. Those shoulders aren't quite broad enough. The muscularity in the arms, those forearms and biceps, triceps and so on is just not there. That neck is a little bit too long for my taste. I'm not going to criticise the paint applications on the head sculpt simply because paint applications have come on in leaps and bounds. I think for its time it's very good, as is the sculpt for its time. It is of its age, this piece, so that's going to make a final verdict on this piece that much harder. I didn't take the knife out of the out of the sheath because that sheath is made out of pleather. You can probably tell it's still holding up very, very well, but I'm not risk damaging it by taking the knife in and out because that is guaranteed to cause it to start flaking and cracking. So, a verdict. Is this a Grail or is this a fail? Had this landed 15 years ago in front of me, I would have said instant Grail. Yeah, so a 15-year-old Grail, but by today's standards, no. I would say it's not a Grail. However, it's not a fail. This thing is by no means a fail. I think they've done a very, very, very good job here, Hot Toys, and it begs for that 2.0 artisan makeover that we are all hoping will be coming up soon. So I'm going to classify it, and it's that interesting category that Mr. Gofigure made up when he started this series of videos. We're going to call it a frail, where it's neither a Grail nor a fail. It's somewhere in between. It is most definitely not a fail, but I don't think it quite edges that Grail status. We didn't really have another 1/6 scale Sarah Connor 15 years ago, so it was a Grail because there was nothing else around at the time. But as I say, absolutely needs Hot Toys attention immediately. So if you're listening, Hot Toys, yeah, we need a 2.0 if you haven't already started work on it, and preferably an artisan with the real hair there, and address that upper body muscularity and proportions. So there you have it, folks. Hot Toys' 15-year-old take on Sarah Connor is a frail, neither a Grail nor a fail. I hope you've enjoyed this bit of fun. What's your take on this piece? Do you have it in your collection? Are you looking forward to Hot Toys maybe tackling it again? Have you gone all in with the new 2.0 versions of the battle damage T800, the clean version, and the T1000? What are your thoughts on the film? What are your thoughts on Hot Toys? What are your thoughts on anything at all? Nothing is off menu, so please drop a comment in the comment section below. What have we got coming up on the channel? Well, there's a raft of new Hot Toys releases that we're going to be reviewing. Coming up very, very soon on the channel, we have the new clean version, the 2.0 T800. Really, really looking forward to that. But we've also got 1/6 scale reviews coming for figures from In Art, Susu Toys, Present Toys, Caustic Plastic, X06, Iconic Studios, the list goes on. So as I mentioned at the top there, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you're not missing any of the good stuff that we've got coming up. And I suppose all that remains for me to say, from the frail that is Hot Toys' take on Sarah Connor and myself, a massive thank you for watching as always. Take care of yourselves, and until next time on the channel, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.